our game of Shadow Empire. We made it to turn 5 last night in the first episode, and we'll be starting on turn 6. The quick recap is really things have gone well so far. We started off with a number of minor regimes around us, and in the first session we captured Seattle, so we now have a second city. And I will go ahead and jump in. So I ended turn 5, so this is now the start of turn 6, and I will play the video playback of the start of the turn, and mostly just to show that Blackland, which happens to be the minor regime to the north, which we were moving our units towards, went ahead and declared war on us. So we don't need to worry about declaring war on them now. We also gained, I think, what is our first regime feat, bureaucracy. And so that's kind of the start of the turn. So it doesn't really change our plans pretty much at all. We're still going to continue to march towards Blackland with more or less all of the units that we have. So we'll go ahead and first things first, turn on the strat movement and look to move the other tank battalion that we did not move last time, just so that we don't forget about that. We didn't have any decisions this turn. It's actually fairly rare. I feel like you always at least have some decision. And so I will look at our strat cards quickly to see if there's anything in particular that we want to play. Minors wise, I don't think there's really anything we need to do. We'll go ahead and play our spies. I think last turn I thought we had played the spy on one of these. I guess not. Oh, we did, on Retherio territory, so we can now, we have some vision into there. So most likely, I'll play it into the area south of us, since there seems to be some units starting to move near us.
Roger that.
Unfortunately, that failed. We don't really need to play any of those. Okay. The only thing, I'll do a quick scrap. Don't need any major cards yet because I haven't found any majors. I now have 2 proposed pieces, so I can definitely get rid of one of those. Recruit Merc is just too expensive. So we're getting close to having enough if I would scrap Treasure Hoard. But we'll go ahead, and I think that's probably good for now. Maybe we'll scrap enough to generate a new card. Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and start moving our units forward. The difficult part, and I'm going to need to turn on to see, I'm not getting actually enough supply out in this direction, which is unfortunate. So I will send my Walker unit up in that direction. But the rest of my units are unfortunately going to kind of have to walk up this way to stay in supply. So working just on kind of moving forward, trying to surround them. And I now have enough recon on the hex that I can kind of see what they have. So they have, this looks to kind of be a mechanical battalion, so kind of has a mix of different units. They do have some buggies, which are okay. And then probably the rest of what they have is Raider Militia, which I think are a little bit stronger than the farmer units that we had to fight in the first city, but not much. They still have fairly low, both hard and soft attack and defense. I think the big difference usually for raiders is farmers tend to have mostly defense, and raiders actually will have equal attack and defense. So there's a little bit more risk that they actually come out and attack you. But yeah, pretty much the vast majority of their forces are just raider militia, which I think we can probably deal with what we have. Again, they really have almost no counter to light tanks at this point. Let's check Seattle. There's still some unrest in this city, so I'm gonna leave those 2 militia forces there still. Oh, you know, I wonder. Actually, I think what I'm gonna do with this unit is scrap it if I can. Because it's really not very useful for me out there, and I think it'll give me decent resources.
Yes, sir.
Alright, so we scrapped the turrets, and it gave me 43 energy, 72 metal, 1 high-tech part, and 4 rare earth metals. So decent. Not anything crazy. The high-tech parts are worth a lot, but you don't really need them early game. You can sell them. A little bit of metal, that's probably the biggest haul. And then I'm just going to continue to move. Kind of in this direction as I can see this unit here. And I really just want to avoid that unit moving towards my capital. Okay, so that looks good. We're still doing alright on ammunition. I think the one thing we need to do is try to replace the rest of the tanks. So we'll see if I can directly replenish them. I think I should have logistics points here. Yeah, so I have enough points as well as enough resources. Alright, so that's good. So both of our light tank battalions now are at full strength. And I think next turn, yeah, so because I did the strategic movement, their readiness is fairly low. But next turn, they should be in decent shape. I think probably next turn, I'll move everything into position, and then the following turn I can probably actually try to attack it. We'll quickly check the trade. I don't think there's really anything that we can sell, and I don't really think there's anything that we need to buy either. Again, we have the rare earth metals if we get dire for cash, but the price is pretty low. Ideally, we want to sell close to, when they're close to 10, at least 7 or 8. 4 is pretty pretty low price for rare earth. And we don't really have enough resources to construct anything. We're still improving the metal mine to level 2. Once that finishes, then we should have some more enough industrial points to hopefully build something in addition. It looks like this asset, the dome farm, was still completed. I'm not sure, because what I tried to do was cut logistics points to it so that they wouldn't actually build it. We'll see what actually happens. I'm going to continue to leave it like that, I think. We'll do a quick preview point check. Nothing really has changed since last turn, so I think we're still kind of sending most of our logistics up in this direction. And the only other thing we can do is, I don't know if we can reach, but we can try to air attack. And it appears to be 1 hex short. That's unfortunate, so our planes are kind of useless now. And I think, yeah, I moved everything down in that direction. I think that's pretty much it for this turn. Let me check our organization reports just to see how the military council is doing. Yeah, so we discovered combat armor and started researching. We can see progress was 26%, which means it's going to take probably 3 more turns to fully research that. And the tech overall, so 1% progress is 4, so it costs 400 research. We're putting in about 90 plus whatever bonuses we get. So it's not too bad. In a couple turns we'll have that, and then once we pick up model council, we can use the combat armor in all our infantry type unit redesigns. Okay, we'll go ahead and end turn. Yeah, so continue to move forward. We'll have our iron mine. Level 2 should be complete. That'll really help us start to build up more iron. We should be able to hopefully get units into position to potentially assault the following turn. And then probably the next thing we'll look to build, eventually we want to work towards upgrading our industry to generate more industrial points in our capital. So we may need to upgrade the metal mine again and or build potentially some more recycling plants. To upgrade your industry, it's very expensive in terms of metal. Okay, so we have what looks like a unit coming from that miner direction, and we also have some units over in this direction moving around. We may need to just buy a couple cheap independent units just to kind of help pick at our borders a little bit, as we want to make sure units don't get within 2 or 3 hexes of our actual cities, as it'll generate danger. Alright, there we go. Start of round 7. Still a relative time of calm. Generated a few stratagems. Nothing else exciting. Again, we actually have no decisions, which is a bit surprising. Alright, let's see. He chose not to do anything. He is essentially just sitting his units in his city, which honestly is maybe the best thing he can do anyway. Unfortunately, the mountain hexes are very, very difficult to move through. So we're going to just fully surround it. That way we kind of maximize our attack bonus when we do attack. Okay. Okay, so the unit is probably here. So we'll kind of just sit back still. We're going to move this one actually back in this direction as we saw some movement over here. And then, so Seattle, the unrest is starting to get fairly low. We're just going to use this cheap unit to kind of come out here and block this unit moving in this direction. Alright, we'll look at our strat cards. Yeah, we still don't see any majors, so I'm just going to continue to essentially scrap those. We have 2 spies. I tend to like to play the spy cards. The more spies and recon you can kind of get on the zones around you, the more that you can kind of see for free, which really helps. It also, if you get enough, will generate recon in the zone so that when you attack, you actually have initially can see their units as well as your units perform better in combat for the first few rounds because they're not having to generate and increase the recon. Let's see, I need to get to 16. I think I can probably do it this turn. I want to keep Treasure Hoard. Actually, I'll keep Treasure Hoard and scrap that one. So I want to keep those 2. I don't need Radiation Leak. And I'll get rid of Offer Protection. So there we go. Generating Stratagem. And we got an Enforcer Ice Mine. That's unfortunate. Essentially useless. We don't need Ice Mine, which just generates water, and Enforcement does not align. Bummer. Crafting has not gotten us anything useful in this game. But just kind of the luck of the draw. So we'll look at spies again. So we played, we still have some vision here, which is nice. We'll try again down here. So we got a spy there. And then we'll also try to get one down here.
Roger that.
And we got a critical success, so we'll actually get 2 there. So that'll start to give us vision into those zones, which is good. And spy cards are some of the most common cards generated early, just by your Supreme Command Council. So I just continue to use them. They get generated pretty often and pretty cheap. We can see military research. So again, it's got the exact same 26%. So continuing to kind of slowly research the technology and move towards combat armor. And so the big question is, what do we want to use our industrial points for this turn? We're still okay on ammo. We don't need any replacement troops. We went and did that last turn. Checking trade real quick. So rare metal, earth metals is actually now at a much more comfortable price. We still have 700 credits, so we'll still hold on to it for now, but really not at all worried about cash now at this point. Even if I have to spend some cash to buy, say, fuel or anything, I'm in a lot more comfortable situation. So I'll click here and show the industry real quick. So this is really what we want to move towards. Ultimately, industrial points right now are our bottleneck, and honestly, in most games, that tends to be your bottleneck. So whatever you can do to generate more industrial points, either by capturing more cities or building industry in those cities, is usually what you want to do. This takes 4 rounds of 750, so that's 3,000 metal. 3,000 metal is quite a lot. And if we go to our management assets, we can actually see how much we produced last turn. So we produced, that's what we produced last turn before we expanded the metal mine. So we produced 300. This turn coming up will produce about 500. So we're getting close. We want to be producing probably close to that 750 a turn, so that we can kind of keep a small stash if we need to build units or anything. So I think it's probably a little too early. We're close to being able to do that. As 500 more would be 1,700 next turn, then 2,200, then 2,700. So I think it would be a couple hundred short to be able to actually do that. So we'll look to spend to again either upgrade our iron mine. So this has 17,000. We're going to be mining about 400. So at that rate, it's only going to last 35 or so turns. It's kind of a bummer. I still think that's probably the best move, is I really don't have a lot of other options. Otherwise, I'm building recycling, and recycling plants just generate a lot less metal than the mines do. I think each level of a recycling tier is generating about 60, where each level here is generating about 200. So I'll go ahead and again upgrade the mining facility here.
Copy that.
And that'll pretty much use the vast majority of my industrial points. The only other thing I was going to look at is, I forget model-wise if the model for machine gun was any good. As machine guns are some of the cheapest good at defense units to build early, so it's 96. I'll probably just keep it and build on it, so it can be worth grabbing a few machine guns early on. So I think I'm just gonna build one if I have enough logistics points down here just to stop this guy from advancing. So switch over to just independent units, and the good thing about machine guns is you can build them in chunks of 500 men, whereas most other units you have to build larger chunks, or they're more expensive units. And so it's kind of essentially the cheapest unit you can build, because infantry comes in chunks of 1,000, which uses up a lot of recruits. And I'd rather save my recruits to actually build a new true formation with an operational HQ. So we'll build a machine gun there just to kind of hold that. I'd like to hold the territory I have as much as possible, just to keep my cities fairly safe, plus make it easier to eventually move towards those cities, and also protect in case they get aggressive and try to declare war. And then we'll do a quick preview point, again pushing the vast majority of my logistics. The other thing I wanted to check, so that looks fine, is clicking here on Seattle. So I'm still giving a little bit of emergency food here, but that again should keep going down now that the dome farm is producing more and more each turn as it gets repaired. And then we can see our transport hub is producing just a tiny bit of logistics points, but that will finish being repaired over the next couple turns as well. I think it repairs 50 points a turn, so another 4 turns and both of these will be fully repaired. Alright, I think that's pretty much it for this turn, so we'll go ahead and end turn. Alright, so again, continuing to march on the minor regime in the north. Probably will either attack this turn or the following turn. We'll check our odds this turn. His units are a little stronger than the first miner we fought, so it may take multiple attacks. The good thing is we should have it fully surrounded unless he happens to kind of counterattack us here before we start. And then once the metal mine, I think, is the level 3 metal mine is completed in our capital, we should be able to then work on upgrading our industry to level 2 to generate some more industrial points. And hopefully that, in tandem with hopefully conquering this city, the miner city here in the north, should really kickstart our economy and start generating us enough industrial points to actually build more units and more buildings more consistently, and not having to kind of wait every couple turns like you do here in the early game. Okay, so we'll kind of move to try to block off this miner. He's getting fairly aggressive. I think this was one of the miners. I think it's a territory, which they can be aggressive. Again, I think we've only seen I think it's just one unit moving around here. Everything's pretty quiet to the south. I think this unit maybe moved up a little. Looked like the unit maybe moved this way. Alright, still time of relative calm. Generated a few stratagems. And we actually have some decisions this turn. So we have budget allocation and org decision. Awesome. So usually this, the other 2 orgs besides military council, which we already got, that you'll go for is economic council and model design council. And so I could grab model design council and then essentially create a new model for my infantry. Otherwise, I can grab just economic council and start kind of researching and discovering some of the economic technologies, as well as doing prospecting. Let's check how good our infantry model is. So the design is good, so we're definitely going to build on it. It would be nice to redesign these with combat armor. It's a pretty big boost. And hopefully in the next turn we should generate some more field testing by attacking that city. I think that's the direction I'm leaning, is to grab model design.
Roger that.
And then budget-wise, I'll probably just split it. Essentially between each of them, essentially getting a third.
Roger that.
Quickly looking at stratagems. We got 1 spy generated. We got a junior, which will definitely keep that card, as we may need to recruit him because we really don't have a lot of good leaders options so far. So So we'll again try to play our spy card. You can see we have a little bit of visibility now into these zones based on the spies that we sent there last turn. This zone is really the one that's pressuring me, and so I think I'm going to focus my spies here so that I can see more. And I got a critical success, so that's good. I think next turn that should give us 4 spies there, which means I think we'll actually have full visibility of the zone. Okay, so interesting. He chose to move one of his units, the Mech Raider Battalion, out, and the rest of them he's still sitting inside here with. He does have a pretty good numerical number of troops. We will go ahead and bombard a range attack and kind of see how that goes. So we have pretty good recon on the zone already. You can see we're getting a few hits.
Yes, sir.
But definitely not quite as successful as when we did a ranged attack on the first city that we captured. Mostly I think these units are just a little stronger and maybe have a bit higher entrenchment. Okay, so we did take his entrenchment level down a decent amount and his readiness. So that's good. But I have a feeling our attack probably isn't going to be enough. Especially because these units here are not going to have a lot of action points this turn. So we'll go ahead and see if we attack with everything. Our odds are okay. I think it's probably worth just attacking, even if I have to, even if I lose. As long as I don't take horrendous losses, which I don't think I should. I can then just follow up and attack again next turn, and even if I have to attack a few turns in a row, we'll kind of roll the dice. 4 to 1's okay. I generally try to get closer to 8 to 1, 10 to 1. That tends to give you almost a guaranteed win. And again, these are just estimates. The tanks in particular should do really well because he has almost nothing that can stop them, and they have a high enough soft attack.
Going in.
Right, so we can kind of see at a high level we're getting a lot of hits. He's getting fairly few. And there you go. We won again. Kind of zoom out and kind of see. He had numerically a lot of units. We had more. His biggest problem is he just had most of his units are these raider militias, which are pretty poor. The other thing again to look at is you can kind of see the tank battalions are just getting tons and tons of hits. 8, 6, I mean they're averaging somewhere between 6 to 8 hits, and I'm not even sure it went, I don't think it went all around, so they're hitting almost every single round. Whereas most of my infantries are kind of hitting, every few rounds, mostly around 1 to 3 hits. And so the tanks are really doing most of the damage. And again, you can kind of see those 2 tank battalions alone did a ton of hits. So awesome. So we now captured the second minor near us, Boston. It's kind of interesting that it generated essentially U.S. city names as the cities near us. It's kind of random. The names sometimes are completely things you never hear of, and other times it picks like cities that you've completely heard of. So it's kind of interesting. We'll move pretty much all of our units into the city to push down the unrest for a turn. And then really the plan here, we still are at peace with Boardmont, so we will leave them alone. Again, you could have argued, if we didn't go at peace, it would probably just make sense to swing immediately in this direction. We could declare war on him, but given that we're still touching a lot of miners that are pretty close to our capital, I think I'm going to go ahead and spend the movement and kind of ignore the one we're at peace with, and probably head down in this direction. Again, we'll see what we see up in this direction once this expands, but given that we actually have vision... Okay, so these are arachnids. Arachnids tend to be a pretty big pain, and next turn we'll see more here, because I think that's where we got additional spies. But arachnids are kind of a pain. They tend to be fairly strong, and there's really almost no benefit to attacking them. The only thing is there tends to be a few perks that you can pick up, and maybe a few free folk settlements, but it's really not worth a lot of effort, so you kind of just want to screen them. So I will start moving. Back down in this direction. Alright, so I found where he is. Again, I don't want them to attack this unit. It's fairly weak. I'm just trying to kind of control hexes. Again, we can kind of see this is, oh, okay, we can actually see this is a farmer. We actually have very good vision now. So he has a city geoshelf. Which is, it's a pretty far distance from us. It does have a dome farm 3, and you can kind of see the population. We can see the population actually of geoshelf is about 62,000, which is pretty decent for a miner. It's significantly higher than the one we captured, which was down around 40,000, under 40,000. And then we'll check Seattle just to see how it's doing this turn. Yeah, so unrest is getting pretty low now. Again, we'll leave this here until it probably gets under 10, just because the units help diminish the unrest faster. So these 2,000 troops are causing 2 points per turn to diminish. But it's somewhat exponential, so the higher the unrest, the more troops help reduce it, and once you get down below 10, it kind of just ticks about 1 or 2 unrest down at a time, even if you have a fairly large number of units in it. We're going to... I'm going to grab another machine gun over here. Just to kind of help claim, again, kind of claim hexes. I'm hoping this arachnid just kind of leaves me alone, more or less. I just want to keep him away from the city. I don't really care that much about if he moves in this direction and takes some of these hexes. Those hexes aren't really a big deal. We can move this guy around. Okay. So we I think I need to buy some ammunition. So in particular, artillery use a ton of ammunition. So you can kind of see here, 115 just the artillery, and then all these units each use, I don't know, somewhere usually between 10 or 20 apiece. I think tanks use a little bit more. They used about 20. So all these units probably in combination need, I don't know, maybe 100 or two, and needs 100 itself. So I'm gonna have to use a bunch of the rest of the industrial points that I have to produce a couple hundred ammunition. I probably need to get up about 400 total.
Yes, sir.
That's good. That should be enough. I can check replacement troops. So in that fight, I lost 1 machine gun and 2 infantry. So I'll go, actually, I'm not going to bother to replace them. Actually, I will. I think it's going to be a number of turns still before I actually get combat armor and redesign the models. So we'll just go ahead and replace the couple of units that I missed or lost. So looking at trade again, wow, someone did another big rare earth metal sell. Huff's again, rare earth metal price crashed. So it's a little concerning actually. I usually don't see it fluctuate quite that much. So next time it's up around 7 or 8, I may actually just sell them just to build up a good stock of credits, because I don't want to get stuck in a situation where I'm forced to sell it at a low price. The other interesting part is someone must have sold a bunch of machines. As machine sell price is also very, very low. Okay, so we don't really have, again, we're kind of IP is our limiting factor, so can't really construct anything else. And then we'll check our preview points. We'll click on turn on traffic signals and click on this city. And what I want to do is just send most of it towards my capital. This one will start as that is being repaired. Oh, interesting. I forgot to check, I think, this last turn. So you can kind of see it gets 0% of its logistics points because I cut the logistics points to it to try to prevent it from even being, from working. So yeah, the only thing it's doing is instead of staffing it at about 10k population, they're staffing it at 5k population. So unfortunately, I think this is a bug in the version that I'm playing that is actually fixed in the beta release that came out today. So unfortunately, I think we're just going to see the private economy build way more farms than they need. And there's not a lot I can do about it. Unfortunately, I would rather them build other things that are more useful. Luckily, he's actually targeting light industry, which is really good. But we'll kind of see how it goes. Hopefully they don't spam any more farms, but luckily I think it's at least been fixed. The only other thing is, so what I'm going to do is I think move all these units then down in this direction. So I'm going to uncap this one and let some points preferably flow in that direction. It's not much. Okay, we'll just go with that. Okay. think we're good. All right, so I've officially captured 2 cities. A really good start, actually, considering we're not even to turn 10 yet. Um, oh, I know what I was going to do. I forgot. I'll bring up the victory screen at the start of this next turn just to show progress-wise kind of where the other majors are at in comparison to what I have so far. My guess is, given how early it is, many of the other majors probably haven't taken another city yet, and so I should have both more land and probably more population, which are the two factors that lead to victory, and at least gives you a feel for the size of your competitors. I'm gonna get a quick sip of water. All right, and we can see something moving around kind of in the northern part or north eastern part of the new zone that we captured. And we have 8 decisions this turn. Guess it's making up for all the lack of decisions we've had over the last couple turns. We're still in relative calm, getting extra political bonus points. We get a fake bat and fate for conquering Boston. Admin level increased, so we also get a stratagem pack for that. So pretty much everything happens the same turn. Nothing really great there. Nothing that great there either, so some probably unlucky rolls. Alright, so the first thing I'll do is I'll check the victory screen before I forget. Okay, so here we go. So we can see Empire of Red Rum, 11, a little over 11 victory score. Again, you have to get to 50 while your second, whoever's in second is at 25 or less to win. And then we can see population wise, so I have about 16%. So these are all 8, 9, 8, 9. This is probably just the starting population. That's probably what I started at. And then you can kind of see planet percentages, the land or portion of the planet that they control. So it's possible maybe Maxlow right actually captured another city, but looking at the populations, these all look like it's probably just starting zone population. So he probably just started with a large zone or has just moved and kind of conquered empty territory but hasn't taken any cities yet. So it's a good sign. We're in the lead, but it's still very, very early. Okay, so quick decisions. Skillia Union, which is the one I am moving towards to attack, offers cash again, but I don't want the autocracy since I'm going for democracy, and I also want to start actually decreasing relations so that it's easier or I take less penalty if I have to declare war on him. So I will go with no.
Roger that.
So we got food theft in Boston. So we could send in the troops, which is going to unfortunately cause a bunch of autocracy. We do have our stack in there, so we have a lot of troops, so could do that. We could try to interrogate them to find the ringleader, which looking at the odds of that is probably not going to work. Or we do nothing and just take 20 unrest. So pretty much all the choices are bad in this case. I think the top one's the least bad.
Roger that.
So our 8,000 plus soldiers confronted 1,200 thieves and pretty much crushed them. So this actually gives us fear, which is good. Fear will actually help drive down the unrest faster. But unfortunately, it does give us 8 autocracy, which is not great. But still, the combination here is just under 100, so they won't start decreasing each other quite yet. For zone upgrades, I don't really have any reason to upgrade these at this point. Really the only reason you want to upgrade zones is once you need higher tier buildings, and since Boston probably has virtually nothing, so it just has a dome farm too and a transport, and these are both private assets. I believe the city level only impacts public assets. So if we go and actually started building, say we got Industry 1 or something like that, and then wanted to upgrade that to 2, then we would have to come in and upgrade to a larger city. But what it does is each city tier divides your quality of life score, so it kind of drives down your quality of life or makes you build more quality of life buildings to get the same benefit.
Roger that.
So this is my capital hawking. I don't need, I'm not anywhere near, I don't think, of building any tier 4 buildings at this point, so I also don't need that. Okay, so that's why we have so many decisions this turn. So we need a new governor for Boston, and we also need a new director for our model design council. And right now we only have 2 leaders to choose from. We could fire our secretary if we wanted to use him in one of those roles, but he's pretty much trash, so that's not going to help anything. Zeno. Yeah, he's really the only thing he has that's at all useful is improvisation. And he's probably, yeah, suitability rating is more or less even. What's his intel? Oh, and his relation's actually low as well, because he loves autocracy. So I really don't want to use him if I don't have to. And Evelyn, relations also not that great. She likes government, so should trend better. And she also has improv, but I think not quite as high of a level. So let's see if I can grab some more leaders. So I'll recruit another junior.
Roger that.
Unfortunately, I think that's probably all I can do from a leader standpoint. I really have not gotten a lot of leader love so far. And apparently it generated a pretty poor leader. He essentially has almost nothing right now. He has a little bit of infantry and personal combat, which are really only useful for an OHQ. And his profile's not great either. Militia's okay. Enforcement I'm not going for, so that would be a negative. Alright. The only other thing I'll take a quick look at is would I want to shuffle any of the other leaders around. Oh, I kind of forgot about my advisor. I actually should assign him somewhere and or fire him from being advisor and use him somewhere else. right, all of his stats are essentially war stats. So he's not really helpful to me either. And so if I ignore... My secretary's not useful. I really need probably the people that I have in the rest of these. So I'm just going to have to deal with what I got. So out of the two things, I care more about the model design council, so I will put Zeno since he's a little better there.
Wilco.
So the good thing was his relation improved a lot. That's quite a big jump. And then for governor, so 32 int, cap 2, essentially nothing right now. Versus cap 2, they're both cap 2, lower int, but has improv. I'll go with the improv.
Order acknowledged.
For model design, alright. Need to go back. I should have. I ended up a little short because I created the model council and that took some of my bureaucracy points. So I'm still one more turn from combat armor, so I don't want to redesign any of the infantry units until I get combat armor. But probably what I will do is priority wise, I will set it all or mostly on design. So I'll do 90-10, and then if you don't choose a design target, it just overflows into discover.
Wilco.
So for light tanks, I need to wait until I get side skirts. Let's check the rest of my models. Is there anything I want to redesign from scratch? So I don't care about planes or flak. Infantry, I'm waiting for combat armor. Same with machine gun. The crossbilly actually is really poor, so I want to start that line from scratch. And that's pretty much the only thing I would even consider designing right now. But it costs 120 to start a new line, and there's no way I'm going to get 120 this turn. And I want to probably just immediately redesign my infantry model. So I'm just going to go with no new orders, and maybe it'll discover. And so the model type tree, there's a couple things that I would like to pick up. So I'd like to get the medium tank. I probably won't use them much early, but if I start seeing any hard targets, they're great because they can have bigger guns, and then usually put like a high velocity gun on the medium tank. Motorbike infantry are okay early. I'd like to pick up bazooka model, again great versus hard targets. So a couple things. Aircraft, I don't really care. Unfortunately the map really isn't geared towards aircraft unless you would wait till later game. Okay, so I did want to look around so I can see the arachnid units now. Yeah, so they're fairly strong, and tend to be extremely aggressive. Again, generally the key to dealing. I think arachnids are considered hard targets, I want to say. and then they have very little hard attack, so they do very well against infantry because they have high soft values, and because I think they're considered hard, and so tanks tend to be the best thing to deal with arachnids. That being said, I believe I can see his entire zone, and in that entire zone he just has that single stack, which is, for arachnids, there tend to be few stacks, but they're strong. So I will just use this. So I built the machine gun here, so I'll push him out this way. And then I'll use kind of just start setting up a little bit of a wall. Alright, and then looking at Boston zone. Okay, so interestingly, so you can kind of see this zone, Boston. One, again, the city's population's really low, 33,000. And its assets again are damaged from both the bombardment and the attack that I did. So he's producing no food, unfortunately. And you can see they essentially ate all the food that they did have. Okay, so it's kind of a dead end up this way. What's this? Edgar territory. So just another territory up this way, which means it does not have a city, so I'm not really interested in going that direction at this point. And then I guess I can see what this is. Oh, okay, so we found our first major. So Maxlow, right, who I think was who was in second place technically. And that's just because we happen to own this little peninsula here. Oh, and he's down. Okay, so his borders actually go up this way and then come down and actually meet here. So he is showing us friendly so far, and we are at peace with this. So we're probably okay here. They can't walk into our borders unless they would declare war. So again, I think I'm going to stick with the plan and move south. And I'll leave the militia there again to help deal with the unrest for a turn or two. As you can see, stacking those 8,000 troops actually diminished unrest by 20 points, which is quite a lot. Leaving here should get me an extra couple points, and the fear that got generated from that event will also knock off a couple points. What I am going to do actually is start moving and actually claiming the hexes near this city. Okay, it looks like whatever unit was there kind of backed off a little. So I'll push back out a little, make sure I'm still in supply range. Yeah, I'm fine. That's militia are. I think the unrest is just based on the sheer number of troops, and so militia tend to be really weak but have high numbers, so they're good at trying to drive down the unrest. Okay, so we have. This should be complete now. Yeah, so we got our metal mine 3 now, which should be generating probably around 600 metal per turn. I think it's about 200 a level. And so we can see that plus my recycling will actually be generating about 750. So I have enough then to try to upgrade my industry. So I will actually go ahead and do that. So you can kind of see 750 is kind of the magic number. I also have a decent stockpile, so even if I was generating a little under that at this point, it's not a big deal.
Copy that.
So that used, I think, 125, so that leaves me with about 100 IP, so probably not enough to really do much. Let's see if there's... the one thing I probably need to look at doing is maybe upgrading my truck station soon. And also, I'm starting to lose energy. So let's see. Yeah, so I'm starting to lose significant energy. Okay. So I'll build a soul. I can't build it this turn. I don't think I have quite enough IP. So I'll wait and probably do that next turn. Okay. So ammo, we can see it should have refilled, I think, all of our troops up, so we ended up needing about 200, so we should be okay, because we're not really fighting this turn. Replacement troops, we're still okay. I think they didn't quite get delivered. I must not have had enough logistics points to get them to the units up in Boston. Rare earth price is still pretty poor, but we're still doing okay in cash. I think we're good in terms of we'll save our IP for solar panels next turn. We do want to check our preview now. Yeah, so we really are not. Unfortunately, this road is pretty long, and I think that the points kind of start to dwindle off here towards the end, so it's really not getting a lot of points to Boston. So really, until that transport hub repairs, then it'll start generating its own points to kind of make up that gap. And then we'll quickly look at stratagems. So let's see if I can see any new miners after we kind of gain the new zone. Red Keep, so they're farmers. I may try to actually piece them because of how far their city is. So their city's way down here. I'm going to try to go capture this city. At that point, I think it's going to make more sense to start potentially preparing for war to either declare war on the minor we originally pieced or go after this major. We'll also see if any of them would let me in particular. So he will not let me protect him. So he's actually already at war with a major. Probably the one I just can start seeing now. And we can see the difficulty. Actually, it would probably be possible to make this one essentially a protectorate, which means if anyone does declare war on them, then I would get their they would join me for free, which is given how far away they are, probably better because I don't really want to have to shuffle all my units down there. So I'll go ahead and propose peace. Let's see if I get lucky.
Roger that.
Yep. Okay, so I got spies. So here I now have 4, so I pretty much will have full vision there. I don't really need to put him here. I'm going to attack that one. And so then it's really I have 2, 1. Majors, your spies will usually slowly die there depending upon how strong I think their foreign affairs rules are. So I try to not throw spies at majors early. It's the minors and neutrals, the spies pretty much seem to live forever. So I tend to prioritize doing that instead. I'm going to throw it up here just so I can start seeing kind of what's in this direction.
Roger that.
Nothing really useful here. These are all probably not worth playing. Defense posture isn't really going to help me since I'm primarily attacking. And here's all the... And most of these, so these are like worker happiness, happiness and loyalty. Security outpost. Again, I'd like to save for the high-tech vault so that I can get the extra machines. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do just a quick scrap run. We're going to keep the offer for protections because we're going to try to do that next turn. Actually, I probably am not going to ever need this either because I actually have a pretty good bank of political points. At least not anytime soon. I don't need defense. Don't need that. Don't need the last one I generated. These two are decent. Security's okay. Great speech is pretty terrible. Labor Day is terrible. Gladiators is okay. And now we got a militant ice mine. So again, gives us 2 things we don't need. It gives us an ice mine, which generates just water, which we have more than we can use, and fist, which we don't need. So we are 0 for 3 in generating cards. I still like the scrapping system's fairly new. It was put in since the latest stable, so in one of the betas. Mostly just so you can have something to do. Later in the game, you would have hundreds and hundreds of cards, and there's no way you're ever going to play them all. So it's still good. It's just a little frustrating when you keep generating things you absolutely don't need. But I have gotten good cards when they do align with either the profile or they give you a good asset. They tend to give you, I think, private assets. Okay. Oh, I just wanted to check. We're support. Okay, yeah, so we'll get combat armor next turn. Okay, so we are good to go. So there's the end of round 9, so we'll be starting turn 10. Everything is looking good so far with the 2 minor cities that we've captured. Making progress now that we've got our iron mine to level 3, starting to upgrade our industry to level 2 in our capital. And then marching our army towards the southwest to hopefully take out, I believe this is another raider miner, and their city's fairly close to us. And so, if we can take them out and kind of get a decent kind of area around our initial capital city to keep it safe. And then there's nothing, I think, down here really. And I think what we're going to try to do is just piece this guy, because his city is way down here, so really far away, and do a protectorate on him. So we're starting to see some units moving up here in the north in these two. These are both territories, minor territories. This one we know is arachnids. I don't think we know yet what this one is. We can actually see a huge outcropping, of ruins, which essentially means like before the apocalypse, like there was a huge city here. And it's kind of cool if you start near like a huge patch like this. You can build a lot of recycles, and you'll often find artifacts. Oh, so we got 2 regime feats, technology, and engaged politicians. We'll take a look at those. We got our combat armor. Grab some rare metals. A few cards generated. Okay. So we have some marauders and hawking, which is our capital. We'll probably go ahead and support to try to get rid of them. It looks like we'll have decent odds to counter them.
Copy that.
And we got a critical failure, so that's really unfortunate. Especially because this is our capital zone. Oh, man. So, wow, danger went up 40%, which is pretty massive. And almost 5,000 people died, private population died, and about 1,000 workers. So that's a pretty brutal event, actually. Again, this is the same thing they asked us last turn, so we will again decline.
Roger that.
And then we got orders. Oh, I should have done this last turn. I wanted to allow emergency food and give workers some salary.
Order acknowledged.
Alright. I wanted to take a look up here because I think this is where we played our spy, so I can see the zone. They are nomads. I don't actually, and their zone actually isn't that big. It's kind of just this little coastal zone north of the arachnid zone, which happens to be much, much larger. Arachnids are also, unfortunately, pretty fast. He's kind of moving around me, which is kind of annoying. So we'll move adjacent to the city. I'm surprised how I it must be because my borders are already close to these miners. Usually the miners will keep some of their units in the cities, but kind of fan the rest out. Both of the miners I attacked so far have kept almost all their units in the city, and this miner kind of looks the same. They kind of have it all stacked, and again, it was changed. They used to pretty much send all their units all over the place, and then you could just pretty much come in and snipe their capitals without even having to fight, which was really, really bad. But that's been fixed quite a while ago. So we'll continue to move down in this direction. And you can see the fairly drastic difference here. I guess the only thing I could do, I could try to strategic move some of these infantry units. I don't know if I actually have really any logistic points to speak of. A little bit. May as well see if it works, I guess. We'll take these ones. Okay, so I have just enough. May as well. I don't really think there's any real big negative of doing that. It decreases the readiness. You can see it essentially plummets readiness doing the strategic move, but now he won't have to move and he can kind of sit here and regain readiness. And while these ones still march down, and each turn they're losing readiness in chunks because they're using a lot of their action points. We'll check boss. We'll kind of see how our cities are. So we can see unrest went down about 10 last turn, 4 from troops, 4 from fear, and just 2 generally. Hunger went up because we did not have emergency food on, which means a whole bunch of people essentially went hungry last turn. And a bunch of people are actually leaving the city and joining the free folk because they don't have any food to eat, which kind of sucks. Okay, so it's starting to repair enough to generate a little bit of food, and I'll get some probably emergency food there, so it should be okay. Here we're just building industry. You can see a big chunk of metal taken out of our stockpile and put into the zone stockpile. We do have enough IP to probably build something. Let's check. Oh, I wanted to see. Yeah, wow. 40 danger. And danger is one of the worst things because there's very little you can do to counter danger and decrease it. So you're kind of stuck with it, and danger tends to have a pretty negative impact on your happiness. I don't know if it's both workers and private citizens or just one of them, but it's definitely not great. So I mean, I'll probably lose a couple danger points for the next like 20 turns. There's really nothing I can do about it. So thinking about what I want to build then. I wanted to, yeah, so all my replacement troops got pushed out, so that's good. And we'll check trade real quick. Okay, so rare earths are finally up high. I am going to dump all that I can can of rare. I want to keep 100 to build a solar plant. So that keeps me just above that line.
Yes, sir.
So you can see selling rare earth at a good price gives a somewhat absurd amount of credits early game. I think there's a little bit of a balance issue there, and that needs to kind of be adjusted a little bit. But it's really your best source of money, especially on harder levels where you have essentially almost no income tax rate early game. So I will go ahead and construct a solar panel field. So I still have kind of enough machines.
Copy that.
That'll help address the energy deficit. These deficits are just from building the industry level, and this is from moving all those tanks. So nothing I can really do much about there. This is really the only one that's actually for actually decreasing every turn, and I need to kind of counter. Okay, strategy cards. Okay, so we'll look at, so red keep. I'm gonna try to get a protectorate on. I think I may as well go ahead and roll. My odds aren't great, but hopefully Ian comes through for us here.
Roger that.
There we go. And then I can send a spy. I'll send another spy down in this zone.
Roger that.
Merc is useless. And I'm trying to get one more fate point so I can play high tech as machines is getting lower and lower. Okay. Take a quick look at preview points. Yeah, we can start to see we're getting a little bit more here as this truck stop repairs. We're almost fully repaired here, which is good. Hopefully they actually build light industry. That would be ideal. And what I'll do eventually when I need a little bit more logistics points is I'll buy these transport hubs and convert them to public assets, because then they generate twice the number of points and twice the range, and that's it's not super. I think it only costs 500, so pretty cheap compared to trying to build new truck stations or upgrade the one I have in my capital. Okay, so I think we're still good there. So I got combat armor. I don't think I've actually discovered any other military techs yet, so it'll push my research into discovery next turn. This is the guy I need to call and do some redesigns.
Standing by for orders. Wilco.
Alright. So with combat armor, I want to kind of redesign probably both machine gun and infantry. Infantry, just because I have a lot more of them, is more important at the moment. So I'll build on the existing units. Automatic rifle. And here you can see, like, this is going to be a pretty drastic increase in survivability. I'll go from a 50 armor suit to a 200 armor suit. Pretty drastic increase in essentially their hit points that they'll have. And the cost is still pretty cheap. And so I'll actually go and pretty much just upgrade all of the infantry that I can over the next few turns after that's completed. pieced him. So I no longer need to worry about those borders, so I can move these units kind of back over this way. Alright, we'll go ahead and end the turn. So unfortunately the infantry take quite a number of turns to kind of march all the way down there. I may look at maybe trying to strategic rail one or two more of them down, but we're a few turns away probably from attacking the miner down there to the southwest. But given again they're raiders, we should see similar troops to what we saw around Boston. So we really shouldn't have any issues, and ideally we'll have all of our infantry upgraded with combat armor, which will make it so he gets very, very, very few kills on me. Combat armor is one of the strongest early military techs just because of the huge bump it gives. I did not see that unit, so we'll have to try to push one of the units that's in Boston to try to slow that guy down. But combat armor really makes a huge difference. And generally you'll have combat armor in for your infantry and machine guns for quite a while, because it's usually until you then get heavy combat armor, which is another level down the tech tree. Oh, and now we got side skirts, which is really the other kind of early military tech we were looking for. So we will make sure we switch and start researching side skirts, and then we'll use that to upgrade our light tanks, as that gives a lot more, I think plus 200 hit points against infantry. It pretty much makes your light tanks pretty close to invulnerable to infantry units early game. So we completed our upgraded infantry unit. We discovered mechanized artillery, which are not that great and probably won't use them. Morbus found an unusual companion. So we'll stick with the mind option.
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. We're getting a free candidate.
Yes, sir.
Honestly, anything we can do to get more leaders at this point would be good, as we really have very, very few options, and the options we have are poor. Okay, raiders are recruiting our troops. It's kind of an awkward. I don't really care about losing. I think that would lose 100 recruits, which is, kind of negligible. I think it's probably better to take the decrease in enforcement and fist. As fist in particular is pushing down my mind profile.
Roger that.
Oh wow, that actually increased the relationship with him a lot, which is bad. I did not think it would increase it by that much. That's really unfortunate. And then we also want to redesign our machine guns to also add combat armor to them.
Wilco.
Okay. Generally, the territories won't peace or do any kind of diplomatic actions. The difficulty will be too high. Sun spy. So this zone is really causing pain. So I'm gonna send my spies here so I can kind of see what they have. Merc and a junior. Still a fate point short of playing that. I can do a quick scrap. Actually, yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't really need either of these two. So a junior meritocratic extractor has been convinced to join us. Gives us meritocracy. So I may play that to get another leader if I'm desperate for leaders. But again, not a great card. Again, pretty much 0 for 4 on crafting. Okay. Okay, so these are the nomad units. Okay, so they are very defensive. And have decent hit points as well. So they're very little threat to attack. And even their cavalry, they have more even stats, but pretty low. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't really do anything against them. What I'm gonna do is construct, or sorry, raise a actually, I'll raise an infantry. As I really need to push both of these units to try to avoid him pushing any further forward. Alright. Just one of them though. Yeah, I don't have enough points, logistics points to move anymore. So the rest will be walking. Hey, we're okay up there in Boston, I think. Oh, so I can see that whole zone now. It's a fairly large zone, but it's really almost nothing there. The mercenary post is decent. It gives an extra 300 recruits, but I think that's good for our units. I don't think. Oh, it shows I need one replacement unit. Not sure where I even need that. That's okay. I'll wait a turn on that. We'll check trade again. I probably won't be selling as I pretty much dropped all my rare metals. So what I want to do though, I'll do check preview points real quick. Yeah, I don't really think there's anything I can do right now. So I want to try to upgrade as many units as I can. Let me check assets. So I'm still building. The solar panel is finished, so that should solve the energy issue. And the industry will have enough units in stock to continue to build. So I can use the 130 IP I have left to essentially upgrade as many infantry units as I can. Okay, so I don't have enough to upgrade them all. Let's try just the selected. Maybe I don't have the logistics to upgrade them in this unit. Yeah, I have no logistics points, I guess. Oh, yeah. Bummer. Try to push a little more logistics points down that way next turn. So what I will do, I think, let's see if this one is close enough to upgrade. these two should be able to upgrade as well.
Yes, sir.
Oops.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so these three are upgraded, and then next turn, hopefully I get enough logistics points down in this direction to upgrade those two. Check my councils real quick. So it's already set. It'll start researching side skirts, and then getting machine guns there. I think the one other thing that I probably should look at is salaries. So let me check how leaders are doing. I think a couple of my leaders are trending low in relation. Yeah, so we can see a military research council in particular is really unhappy. Let's take a look at why. Okay, so his profile does not at all match us. Unfortunately, he is probably the best leader I have from a skill standpoint. So that really sucks. I think what I'm going to do, and I don't know that it'll have that drastic of an effect, but I'm going to increase advisor salary. Or sorry, director salary. I keep forgetting about this advisor. Let's use him first. So we'll attach him
Understood.
to our OHQ, since that's really the only stats he had. We're kind of down here at the bottom. The directors, I will definitely increase theirs. Governors, they're happy-ish. I'll probably increase them a little bit as well. Commander's probably okay, and SHQ is okay. So mostly just the governors and directors.
Roger that.
I'll bump them up to 5. Governors I'll bump up to 4. Don't care about the secretary. Advisor's already getting 4. Bump them up 1 more each.
Roger that.
Okay, so that bumped up relations with most of them, the governors and directors, and should increase their natural relation point as well. military's still low. Unfortunately, I don't know that there's a lot more I can do except hope I get to start getting some cards to play on him. But really, ignoring him, everyone else is fairly happy. So we'll see. If we can't manage him, we may eventually have to fire him. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Alright. So we're getting fairly close. We have the city mostly surrounded now. And we should be able to move a couple more units adjacent to it. We're probably about 2 turns away from having the units in position, 3 turns away from attacking, assuming nothing kind of goes haywire. And we probably need to do a little bit of a better job kind of picketing this direction, because these territories both seem to have some aggressive units that are pushing down towards me. So I'd like to kind of have almost like a picket line a couple hexes away from these cities. And I think the other thing, I'll probably start trying to invest in building some more bureaucratic point assets. Okay, so I got the new combat armor machine gun model. Wow. Um, got some kind of stockpile that gave a bunch of money. Yeah, so you can kind of see Hawking pop happiness is being diminished due to high danger. And it's also impacting worker happiness too. But you can see the higher it is, the faster it diminishes it. So it already has come down from 40 to 29. And so we're kind of just taking happiness hits here, which we had enough happiness that it's not a huge issue. Okay, we can see, wow, so the nomads have a pretty small zone, but have a pretty good chunk of units here. Yeah, they're not that strong, but as much as possible I want to keep them away from me. Okay, so we got Model Design Council again. We're still waiting for light skirts to do the light tank upgrade. We could do our artillery and throw combat armor on those. Yeah, I'll probably go ahead and do that. I'll also upgrade the gun size. There's really not a lot of reason not to use the biggest guns.
Wilco.
Generally, that's also true for armor, at least for infantry units. The armor's so cheap that you may as well always use the best you have. Tanks and other kind of motorized mechanical units, the armor's a lot more expensive, so it's often you won't use the best that you have. I'll put another spy
Roger
here.
that.
Political aid truck. I think this helps with a unit readiness or morale. So let's take a quick look. I think his units are almost going to be identical to what the other raider had. Yeah, it looks like it. Okay. And we'll see. I don't know if I'll need to wait for all of these units. So we've got it fully surrounded now. Next turn we should get the rest of it here. We can probably bombard it, potentially. And let's see. Seattle. Okay, unrest here is pretty much gone, so I can move this unit out as well. So I'll kind of start trying to push that unit back away. Okay, that looks pretty good. There's nothing else I'm gonna play this turn, I don't think. No. Still good on ammo. Replenishment troops. Somewhere I'm missing a machine gun. So I'll go ahead and replenish that. And then I will try to upgrade. Oh, here's where I'm missing the machine gun.
Yes, sir.
So upgrade that unit. we mass upgrade just the ones under that OHQ? Does that work? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't really care as much about the kind of machine guns that are just screening. So I'll focus upgrading on the troops that are going to fight. I should be... Okay, so I get industry next turn. Which should really help generate more industrial points. But you can see like the metal has really been going all into industry 2. So you really have to be careful and make sure you have the metal before you start building that. Otherwise, it can put you in a difficult position, and you might have to like turn off or pause its construction. I don't think there's anything else I need to do there. Let's just check our reports real quick. So we're slowly researching side skirts. So it looks like we're probably getting about a quarter or a fifth of it each turn. So we got another 3 or 4 more turns. Then model design, we're going for upgrade of the artillery. The other thing I'll show or take a look at is the new models. So we can see now, we'll do it category by category. So we can see our base design went up from the field testing, and then we rolled weapons slightly higher, so much the same, but armor got a much nicer roll. That plus then our armor strength being at 250 instead of 100 means our hit points are about 4 times what we had before. So attack values are about the same, but our infantry are very, very durable. These are pretty difficult to kill, especially this early in the game, and against anything the miners have, they're pretty much aren't going to die. And then machine gun, so we could see base design went up a little bit, didn't have quite as much field testing. But weapon and armor design both got much nicer rolls because they were pretty low initially. So you can kind of see a nice, again, nice strong hit points, and the attack values bumped up a little bit. Again, machine guns have a lot of soft defense, so are really good just as almost like to create kind of a line or a picket. Profile wise, I'm doing okay. I've got the first level of all 3 I'm going after, which gives me extra political points, extra bureaucratic points, and extra research points. But the ones I really want, quality of life helps a little bit, so I'll probably get that bonus next in democracy. Government is the big one. This is the one I really, really want. So hopefully I get lucky and roll on the 5% chance I have each turn. I have not gotten lucky yet, and that'll give me a 40% increase in industrial bonus, which is really, really important. It's probably like government, because it has that bonus, and then later on, if you can actually get to this one, which is pretty difficult to get, it gets a 60% bonus, is just massive. Like that industrial increase is huge. Research, cultural adjustment means pretty much nothing, but logical thought's good because then I get another good research bonus chunk. Okay, I think we're good. We'll go ahead and end turn again, and we will probably either declare war and attack this upcoming turn or the following one. And at that point, it's kind of almost, I feel like that'll kind of almost like close out the first phase here of the game, which is kind of the expand to what you can, what you're immediately adjacent to. Because at that point, I will have taken, hopefully, assuming it's successful, conquered 3 minor cities, have a protectorate kind of the minor down in the southeast, and then made peace with the minor that was kind of due west, And so at that point, it kind of starts to reassess the situation and see what direction I want to go. And again, I'm leaning towards taking this out and then kind of moving in this direction and maybe kind of breaking my piece with this miner, who I think is being attacked by the major to the north. And so he may actually even take this miner out. And so I may not even have to declare war on the miner and just attack the major. Which I think, now that I have combat armor, I could probably go to war with the major and be okay. Again, we're on regular difficulty. On a harder difficulties, you need to be a little bit more careful of the majors early game because they'll often have significantly stronger military and potentially technology and research levels. Okay, we got our new artillery model. Check our decisions. Scale of the Union demands resolution of relations. Ugh. I would love to take the mind. Unfortunately, I do not want to be friends with him because I am about to attack him.
Roger that.
I don't know if this that actually declared war, so I am officially at war with him now. Max Low Reich offers us 400 credit gift. That, I believe, is this major. Okay, interesting, because he's also militarist, which is usually not the people giving you gifts. So no real reason not to take the money. It makes our relation go up a little bit, which arguably whether I want that right now, but I'll definitely take the free money for now. Supreme Command Council 50-50 is still good, and design target. So I don't have the light skirts yet. Side skirts for light tanks. I think what I'll do is I'll create a new buggy model. The initial one I started with is absolutely horrible. So I will build... Buggy's always interesting because you can either go just like absolute minimal and just try to make them really fast, or you can actually make them decent fighting units. The minimal just makes them really, really weak. I'll kind of split the difference. And then again, you could try to, go all out and put the best engine and get a strong movement bonus on them. I think this would actually, even the medium will give me the max movement. The problem is I have very, very little fuel. So I think I'm just going to go with a light diesel because the light diesel is so cheap on fuel. And so I may build a couple of them. They're good for recon, and then they can help try to flip hexes and try to kind of surround units so that you can get them to surrender. So we'll do send spy. I think, yeah, so both of these are up at four spies. I pretty much see all of their territory then at that point, so I don't need to put any more. I have a protectorate of that one. Okay, so I can see a new miner down in this direction. So let's throw a spy
Roger
that way.
that.
We'll do a quick scrap. I do not need field training. Those two are good. I'll save political aid. I'll save those two. I'll maybe scrap just one of each. I'll leave that in case I do want to open. So I guess I could. I think because he's a militarist, he is not at all interested in having really relations. So we're friends for now, pretty much just until he decides he doesn't like me anymore and wants to fight. That's kind of how I think the militarists work. There's not really a lot else you can do. I will check just to see kind of what kind of odds. Oh, wow, the odds are better than I expected. I guess I'll go ahead and attack this turn and see if I can win. I will first, let's see. Kind of forgot about my planes. Unfortunately, they're really not close to anything. But I must be like 1 or 2 hexes short. Yeah, still short. So they're useless again. So we'll do a ranged attack. This will also help drive up the recon.
Fire when ready. Yes, sir.
Okay, did not get much.
Going in.
It mostly will come down to if the tanks, I think, can get enough hits before I run out of action points. He shouldn't kill hardly anything now that I have combat armor.
Mission successful.
Okay, and I just squeaked it out. I think I just hit his last couple units in that last round or two. Again, you can see the tanks are massive. This tank in particular got 16 hits, 15 hits. And you can see the OHQ did got a nice decent roll and gave 35, got a 35% to both attack and hit points, which helped. And you can see Sentinels aren't bad either. He actually got 6 hits. Summary wise, I lost 1 rifle militia and a few units retreat. But the fighting, the good thing about it is it's really starting to drive up my experience, which will help make the units stronger as well as the morale. So I'll essentially just move them all in. I want to see, I can already see some of what's, okay, so I can't really see what's out this way yet. I just see that one miner here, which I threw a spy in, so we'll kind of see what happens there. I don't know if I can tell where his city is or not. So I can see the road. My guess is his city is down near one of these ruins. We can kind of see the road, which probably goes through here. If it's all the way down there, again, I ideally don't want to walk all the way down there at this point. I'm trying to keep just kind of one front fighting, Eventually, you can try to open more than one front. I have enough recruits that I could recruit another infantry brigade, but I don't know that it's really worth it. I may recruit it once I try to go to war with these, just so I have a few more units to kind of. The infantry again aren't really going to do much on attack, but are pretty much a wall at this point. Okay, let's. So don't really need to move those. Don't need to move those. They're all kind of just screening. I'm just going to move this unit over this way to try to reclaim kind of the hexes that the arachnid stole from me. I still don't really know what that unit is. But I'll put that there, and I'll move that one there. He's getting a little too close for comfort here. And I did complete then Industry 2, which is great. So as soon as you complete one level of industry, the next thing you want to think about is can I start building the next level of industry? It's kind of how the early game goes, and really a lot of the game is about trying to figure out how to gain enough metal and resources to build up industry level. So the next one costs 4,500 metal and 900 per turn, and so I do not quite have enough to start that yet. Not too far away because I am gaining somewhere around like 700, 750 metal a turn, and I have a little bit of a stockpile. So I'm fairly close. I probably need to build a couple other metal generating assets. I would very much like to upgrade my bureaucrat office, but I'm still not at civilization level 2 yet. And I will need to see how logistics kind of pans out now that I think what I'll do is, since I have the money and I'm going to have to do this eventually anyway, I'm going to nationalize this one. So that'll give me a nice chunk of logistics points, kind of at least on this side of my empire. This one still isn't repaired yet, so nationalizing that one really doesn't do much of anything for us. We'll kind of see next turn how things settle and maybe build either upgrade or build a new truck station. How close am I? Oh, I'm close. I believe if I get to quality of life 9 and civilization score 9, then I could upgrade my bureaucratic asset, which is what I really want to do. Yeah, so I'm like just short. I really wish this city would create. So it's going to build a hospice, which I think does generate quality of life points, which is what I want. Oh, okay, so next turn. Okay, so in the next turn or two, I should be able to do that then. I will probably... I still need metal, so I'm going to try to build a recycler, I think. Or actually, I'll build a bureaucratic office.
Yes, sir.
in Seattle, and then I'll build a recycler here, and probably, I think I already have a recycle 2. So I'll build one here. And first I should build a road. Not really sure how I want to handle all these little offshoot roads. I think I'll do that this way.
Copy that.
Okay. Take a quick look at trade. Metal price, rare metals were price is still really low after I sold a lot off. And then do a quick check on preview points. I'll remove that back for now. So it kind of goes equally, hopefully, in both directions, more or less. Alright. And I did already look at strat cards, I think. Yeah. And check my council. I should be getting the next council, I think, prompt soon. And then I'll grab probably economic council. So just getting recon buggy. Yeah, this one's literally consistently just getting that. So I'm still about 3 turns away, and then I can upgrade my light tanks. Right. I think that's going to be end of the session here. So I'm going to save real quick. And yeah, I think that'll be the end of this one, and I think a good end point there with kind of conquering that third minor regime city. Kind of shows a nice opening. Obviously, I think I got pretty lucky here, and we'll look to kind of pick this game back up in the next session. Thanks everyone for watching.